Namaskar, hello and a very warm welcome to this 5-day, 5-hour online training on digital technology for children with special needs. My name is Tanvi Khurana and this entire training has been organized by Central Institute of Educational Technology, that is CIET, NCRT, New Delhi. I welcome all of you once again in our program, and today is the 4th day of this online training. So far we have discussed the digital technology for Divyang, its policy perspectives, need and scope. Day 2 we discussed the digital initiatives for Divyang. Day 3 we discussed assistive technology, and today we are entering into day 4 with the title Universal Design of Learning, that is UDL. If you know anything about it but you want to know more about it and what exactly is it, what does UDL defines, and how is it helpful for the children with special needs, you will get to know each and everything in this particular program. If you have any doubts, any queries, please reach out to us. The number is 8800440559. This is a toll-free number. This is not a toll-free number, I beg your pardon. This is a number where you can contact us and raise your queries. And you're watching us on eVidya channel number 6 to channel number 12, and also on our YouTube channel, that is NCERT Official. In the live chat box, you can write down your questions, your queries and share them with us. Till 5 o'clock, we have an expert in our studio and she'll be answering your questions, and our entire team will be checking your questions. So we'll try and take up as many questions as possible. Apart from that, let me just tell you that tomorrow would be the last day of this entire training. That would be the 13th of October. And on day 5, once the session is finished, a quiz link will be given to you. And that will be uploaded on the website, and you can be a participant in the quiz. And if you score more than 70% marks, then you will be given the participation certificate. So all the very best for that, and I would request you to please allow us 30 days of time for the preparation of those certificates. And how you can register yourself or participate in this program, I'll be explaining each and every step towards the end of this session. I really hope that so far you have registered yourself, and if not, I would request you to please register yourself. There is no attendance link. You do not have to mark your attendance anywhere, and this is a very special online training. So let me please introduce you to our guest for today. We have with us Dr. Renu Malviya. Ma'am, a very warm welcome.
Good morning.
Ma'am is a professor from Department of Education from Lady Irwin College, University of Delhi, New Delhi. So we are going to have a conversation in detail regarding the universal design of learning for sure, and we'll be taking your questions as well. In the meanwhile, let me just tell you that there is no attendance link, and there are multiple methods through which you can get in touch with us. There is one specific email ID assigned for this entire training, that is training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. So I would be guessing, and I would be expecting your questions for sure within this 1 hour, and not just 1 hour, later on as well you can ask your questions so that we can take it up in the next session for sure. Let's begin this conversation, and I would like to ask ma'am, day 1, day 2, day 3, we did touch the topic of UDL, Universal Design of Learning, and Anupam Ahuja ma'am was there and she explained a little bit about UDL. Bharti ma'am also explained, but is there anything else apart from what we have discussed so far that you think our viewers should know and it should be helpful for them?
I know such eminent people like Anupa ji and Bharti ji. They have already touched upon and spoken about UDL. Now, I would like to, as I've been asked to, is to connect UDL with the use of technology. We often, the question that let's start off with, is technology the same as UDL? As we go along, let's see. And then we will ask you people and to give your reflections about, is technology and UDL the same thing, or is there another association between the two of them? So we've already done this. Universal design of learning is what accommodates the needs and abilities of all learners and eliminates unnecessary hurdles in the learning process. And it's a very simple thing that most teachers are doing, right? But we just need to understand better. So, when we talk about the universal design of learning, we are talking about 3 levels of networks, which is how to the recognition level, the strategy learning, and the effective learning. And why do we need the universal design of learning? As NEP 2020 says, and India has always been talking about special education, of course, but more also about inclusive education. So there are different types of learners. So all these learners have abilities and capabilities and potentials. So when we talk about the 3 different components of UDL, in my classes, as a teacher, am I able to represent things in different ways? Do I have spaces in my classroom to permit students to express themselves in different ways? And how do I see that my students are engaged in the learning process? So when we make a lesson plan, what we need to focus more is on refining the planning, removing barriers, and building in options and support for the learning process of each and every different child. So this is all that is done under the universal design of learning, or in other words, in yours and my classes. So we know we are doing a lot, but somewhere we need to feel proud about it also. How do we, the first component that already has been spoken about surely by Bharti ji and by Anupa ji, is that engagement. How do we engage the students? Rapport formation. Everyone has different abilities, different potentials, different attitudes and aptitude. Is my class using all those different things? Somebody likes to jump around, somebody wants to write on paper, somebody wants to draw, whatever. So when we start a title, a topic, a subject in the classroom, are we going towards seeing that the engagement, why should I learn this, is that we are able to generate that in our students? So many different ways can you do it. Look at this child here, so concentrated on what is happening, right? We can have, and remember that is the joker, we need to be that too sometimes in our classes. As a teacher, what do I do? What do I teach? What do I facilitate? And how do I do that? If I need to become a joker, so be it. If I need to use demonstration, so be it. If I need to use music in the classroom, so be it. If I want to talk about a sphere by using the dustbin there, so be it. And if I want to use technology in my classes, yes. So different ways of representation which I need to do as so that each of the learner with special needs or other learners also, everyone's got special needs. So the child with disability, the child with special needs, it reaches out to everyone. And technology plays an important part, so does music, so does mnemonics, so does action. And then we come to, so this is all the type of things that we do in the classroom. I have been engaged as a learner. My teacher or my facilitator has been able to express, represent the information in the different ways in the same class. How do now? I may not be very good with communication. I might be neurodiverse in my diverse in my abilities. So I may or may not be able to communicate effectively verbally. Can the same information be taken from me through drawing or through doing a practical here, or it could be by doing a role play, or it could be by a song, it could be something else, it could be making a working model. All different ways one can understand, assess whether the child has understood, in this case, the solar system. So, we are expressing ourselves, the learner is permitted to express oneself in whatever different ways the expression and action is possible. Let's come to putting UDL, such simple things you need to do. We have children with who are diverse learners. We have children who are neurotypical. We have children who might be visually impaired, where they need and I'm taking this example of a simple keyboard. Writing is an issue for that child, so typing maybe. Are we using a braille keyboard? Are we putting we have these in the market so easily. We have a child who has issues with spasticity of some level. So the child may not be able to coordinate one's hands. So can the keyboard be divided into further? Or you might have a child who has difficulty in the fine nuances of putting the finger on a particular key. So there is a little box here, or somebody else has an issue with differentiating the different components, the different categories. So this is a very simple example of how we can use technology. This is low level technology, yes, in the classroom for everyone. So back to my question, does technology facilitate UDL, or is the use of technology in the classroom called UDL? Put your questions your answers in the chat box. The number of assistive technology which facilitates the closing the gap in the concept learning. I need to see, it's not important that the child is able to give the definition. The child should be able to apply the definition in one's life. So can I use, so we have for the assistive, we'll go into some of these examples of how these can be used in the classroom, in the inclusive classroom also, to facilitate learning using the UDL method. So here is an example. If we are using all of us who work with children with visual impairment are so aware. We generally draw the globe on the blackboard, or we show it on a smart board. But if we can have teamwork, oh, that's going to create a lot of issues in my classroom. There's going to be too much of noise, because I, the teacher, need to develop those skills. So here you have the globe, and the globe is nice, tactile, kinesthetic, raised for the child with visual impairment or who is blind, and it is also enjoyed by the other children also. A child with dyslexia who has print blindness is not blind, but they love to touch, and so do I and you. So see, in an inclusive classroom, an assistive device or a technology predominantly meant for the visual impairment is a win-win situation for everyone. So audiobooks are something that all of us love. Taking pictures, cameras, and then using that, smartphone text detections are something which is so much I can use in my classroom. I'm talking about using technology for UDL. So different engagement, different representations, and different expressions and actions. I have a child who is hearing impaired, needs to hear maybe partially, so needs to hear at a higher volume, but that higher volume is going to affect others. There are devices right here. That particular infrasystem, FM system, gets connected to that child and with the mic with the teacher. If they're doing teamwork, so it is there kept on the table, and everyone's voice goes into that, gets magnified and goes to this child in the who has hearing impairment. Of course.
Ma'am, you asked a question to all our viewers and we have got a lot of responses.
Oh, okay.
So, some are saying that technology facilitates UDL, and there's one viewer of ours, she's saying, Kimnei Hangshring, she's saying that in a classroom setup, technology and UDL are synonymous. Now, we would like you to answer this, that which answer is correct, or are they all interconnected?
This is, let's go further with this. Exactly, I had asked this question. So many of you are saying that technology
Facilitates UDL.
facilitates UDL. So it's a component. But theatre is also a component. My moving all these hands like this is also facilitating UDL. It's a very, what do you say, native or down -1% of sign language. This is not Indian Sign Language I am using, but see, it is facilitating. And if I have only technology, remember, we have learned about, we are aware about the multiple intelligence theories. How many of you in the classroom want to see the teacher's face, although it makes no difference because she's just talking? Right? Others are okay with just hearing the voice. So some of you have more inclination to hear auditory and take in information through the auditory senses. You prefer that as compared to the visual. Somebody else prefers visual. Somebody else prefers touching, demonstration, or doing the practical itself. So UDL incorporates all this. Technology is also there, but can you do many of these things are facilitated by technology, but many are not. So facility, we would say, I would like you to argue this, that technology, as I put it, is a component of UDL. It is not equivalent to UDL. I want it more in the chat box. If anyone still wants to take this little debate forward, because until unless every one of us is engaged in this principle of engagement, you will not be able to take it back into your classrooms. And that is my job here. Now look at here, specific learning, children with specific learning disabilities. You're doing this already. All of us have always been doing UDL. We didn't know that we were doing it UDL. We just need to develop our skills better. All these graphics, different types, you were doing it on the blackboard. Now we have those smart technologies, smart boards. Automatically it gets done. You have the Google Forms, where this data just emerges, and we have many other things where you could do it right there. So this is technology facilitating the information to be put into graphics. But graphics is always been there. Technology only is facilitating it, right? So let's see further. Yeah, what amazing things. I used to have this friend of mine who would always keep mumbling. And now I realized probably if the screening test had been there, he would have been diagnosed as at risk for SLD. And the rest of us used to feel it very uncomfortable. Now what we have is speech to text. So he puts it here, keeps talking to himself, doesn't disturb others, and still is able to give the answer at the same time as others are able to do it in text form, in print form. Technology facilitating, not taking over UDL. Yeah, again technology. So you have this little finger here, can you see? Now this is a text to speech device. It is attached to the ear there of the person concerned here, and whatever is written here, the DAISY books also work on the same premises. and Daisy books help in UDL. So here what you have is that as the child's hand moves along a sentence, it is already pre-recorded in this case, so the text gets listened as speech. Or if you're talking about Braille, see, with Braille is the raised diagrams. Look here, everyone's got text material there. They're reading, and this particular child, the entire information has been put into drawing form, into an artistic component, but the concept of what is being taught in the classroom still remains the same. So everyone's enjoying it. In fact, look at the neighbor here, is so wanting to pick up these drawings and learn from that, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So technology again. You have this here, the entire experiment being done, a chemistry experiment being done and observed by the students here. Do we do away with the teacher? No, we cannot, because although there is AI and AI does a lot, and all of you who have started working with AI would learn, but the human touch still remains to be there. So when we are talking about technology and UDL, the nuances, the individual special needs have to be catered by a teacher who understands the principles of differentiated learning and universal design of learning. But this technology is such a help. Same here, see how this child with hearing impairment is using sign language to communicate through technology to the person on the other side of the webcam. Look here, if you see technology, maybe this child might be having a child, or maybe a child who has issues with spellings, maybe on the SLD spectrum, has this whole key of different terminologies. So where the mistake is able to catch on. After all, the essay and the spellings is not one in the same thing. Are you testing the child for writing the essay, or are you testing the child for spellings? So many iPad apps are there, but they are helping the learning processes. They are not taking over the class, or they should not take over the class. For children with autism, we used to have we still have them, the cue cards, the picture cards. So instead of being non-verbal communication helps here. And we also have tabs now. See, there's a tab here which facilitates them, and more data here. I'm smiling, so the child is not able to say I'm so happy. So they put it on the emoji which says happiness. Dyscalculia also, so much of technology, but it doesn't stand alone. It cannot overpower all our learning processes. And there's more for dysgraphia, and ultimately, do we have any questions just now?
We do, ma'am. Yes. Let me just take out the questions. And so we have a question here, whether there are Braille books available in vocal classical music.
Oh, okay. This is a wonderful question. Braille books in vocal classical music. I am not aware. You've caught me. I am not aware. But it's a question we will take back, and I will definitely find an answer, and so will you.
Absolutely.
Please, isn't it? And we need it. This is what we need. The creator, the thinker, the creative person is me, the teacher. And why not? And why not this whole thing? Probably it is there on the soft social media. we need to think about this.
Right.
Beautiful.
So this question has been asked by Madhuri Puranik, and she wants to know the answer. Maybe we'll find it out.
We'll find it out and we'll tell you.
Yes.
And if it is not there, we will put it across to the music teachers and the teacher and the department which works on Braille, and let's see what gets done.
True.
So you have initiated something that needs to be done if it is not already there.
Okay. So point noted.
Okay.
And there's another question from Hiru Sharma, one of the viewers, and he's asking, ma'am, please do give us some guidelines to have an area limitation, time limit for screen or even headphones, so that the technology doesn't harm children.
See, we can make rules and rules and rules. But let's go back to the principle of engagement. If I can, and if you see, if I go back, there were all this where the teacher is taking them out into nature. Remember that little girl that I was saying, she's looking at that flower so intensely. If she can find that engagement in something beyond technology, then it is of interest. You have been able to engage the child. The technology is a powerful tool because it knows how to engage. I, the special educator, the general teacher, the teacher who works with inclusion and UDL, we are humans, our brain is better than the technology. We need to learn how to develop the skills of engaging them by different things. And we need to catch the children young. Everything you cannot draw 24 hours a day as per the school system. The children go for sports, the children go for something else. Technology also needs to be a component. We are letting it take over life. So our skills in seeing that we are able to engage them in different way, represent the information in different way, express the information in different ways.
Okay, done. So that answers the question of the viewer, and we have a lot of questions. So may I?
Yes, please.
Another question is by Pinky Gupta, and she is asking, ma'am, all these devices that you just showed, she is saying that she definitely knows that they are helpful. But are they provided to the children in school, or do they need to buy them for themselves?
Some schools they have funding for this, but majority of the cases, I don't think certain things which is in the ministry, in the government schemes like cochlear implant, etc., which is provided to the relevant children. But many of these things are not provided. But when you're talking about, say, text to speech or speech to text, my mobile is enough now nowadays. We don't need a whole setup here. I remember earlier we had to have that in our computers, and that there had to be certain softwares which were loaded, etc. A large number of these things are anyway very freely available.
Okay.
When you're talking about, say, a child with dyslexia, spellings, the laptop, the mobile, all of them give you that red line. It's free. When you're talking about that FM system, it's not too expensive. So first is, wish I had done more homework on this, but it was not directly my area for today. We need to be able to, after knowing which are the different technologies, what are their costs? They're not very expensive.
Right. Similar to this question, like you said that they are not expensive, but
many of them.
But like the keyboards you showed, and if anyone wants to operate it at their own homes, then are they easily available in the market? This is asked by Kiran Chadha, one of our viewers.
There are again we need to use technology, Google search. That's where we come in. There are certain organizations which are working on different types of technology. So you also have the keyboards. I haven't shown here about the printer. The printer which prints out raised diagrams. So if you have a person with visual impairment or with blindness, and even the child with neurodiversities loves to see the raised diagram. So it prints out. But for an institution it's not expensive. But for an individual it may be expensive. But it doesn't go into lakhs. And these keyboards are definitely not more than probably something like thousands, I suppose, 1,000 or something. Okay. I have no idea. You have to find out.
Okay.
But they are not so expensive.
Okay. So we're not sure about the cost here, but maybe we can take it up in our further sessions. Okay. There's one more question, and the viewer is asking, good evening ma'am, and we have come across all the positive sides of technology for kids with special needs. That's marvelous for sure. Also moving with the negative impacts. So could you please throw some light there?
The screen time, first of all, direct impact on the eyes. The screen time and mental health issues. A holistic development of a child, and that's what UDL is also talking about, includes the cognitive, the psychomotor and the affective. If we are going to have everything only brain, cognitive, screen all the time, the time required to develop interpersonal relationships, time required to evolve the executive functions of a child, time required to be able to not only be me but a part of larger society. Human beings need others. We learn from others. We look at any of the theories given by different psychologists. If screen time tends to take that away from you. So communication, social interactions are getting hampered because of that. And this is leading to major mental health issues in children across the country. That's a major issue with technology. Second is technology, if I was to say something inappropriate in a small group of my peer group, there would be reactions right there. Too much use of technology does not give us the feedback, and we need feedback to evolve, to learn further. So often, of course, we have certain devices, certain softwares which are evolved to give you feedbacks, but at large it doesn't come. It gives you the Doppler effect, which is not, gives you the feeling of high happiness, but that is an artificial impact that we have on the person.
Okay, ma'am, we have a lot of questions. They are limitless, so I would request you to finish your content first, and then we'll take those questions.
I'm almost finished.
Okay.
I'm okay. So let me, why does this keep going back? It says, so now the future of schools. Who is going to put it in the chat box? Are we teachers? Are we facilitators? Are we collaborators? Are we co-learners? And we're waiting for your answers there. So when we look at what the future of the school will be, it is going to be collaborative learning. We teachers are the engines of the school. And if we understand UDL, if we understand not just the characteristics of a child with disabilities, but the child who has those special needs. The child is the child is the child with certain extra needs. Then just being a teacher who is non-judgmental, has empathy, will be able to develop support and upskilling. And for the development of that upskilling, we have been saying that technology is something that is a component of UDL. But I need to understand technology as much as my learner is able to understand. If I have a teacher, a colleague of mine, who makes her or his classes very interesting, what do? I don't go and what I do? I try to imbibe from there or use my different creative senses and make my classes even more interesting than that person's. So this is what we need to do with technology. If the technology is engaging our students more, they have this, the technology has the skill to do it. Me, the representative, different ways of representation which the teacher has to do. Am I able to use all those different ways and make a friend of technology and make it even more interesting and engaging the student? So I am the engine. Collaboration, and we have these social media influencers. UDL supports me in becoming the best influencer. I, the special educator, I, the teacher, I, the principal or the administrator, are we able to do that by changing even the structure of how the sitting arrangement is done in my classroom? UDL NEP 2020 is talking about learner-centered, learner-centric. So the sitting arrangement also has to be such that teamwork is possible, collaborative learning, peer learning is possible, but we still follow the teacher-centered method of sitting in the classroom. Connecting with everything is what UDL says about. Learning has to happen whatever way. So my objective for today's lesson plan or IEP is this. The end is that all my children should be able to complete those objectives by whichever method is most appropriate for them, as per their abilities, capabilities, potentials, interests, ecosystem from where they come from. That is what UDL and technology has to do together.
Okay. So, ma'am, not just questions, we have received compliments for you and your presentation as well, and we have received certain statements as well. So, I would like to read out a few maybe.
Okay.
One of the viewers, Ashok Verma, he is saying, respected ma'am, children with blindness are studying in general classroom under inclusive education very easily with the support of special educators. So,
yes, Ashok ji, that is, thanks to the special educators and thanks to the general teachers and thanks to the schools which allow the two of them to collaborate together. So the special educator doesn't often just pull out the child. The child is everyone's child in the school system. It's like I always love to say, is the physics lab. If you need some information, if I need to understand that and I want to teach something about photosynthesis, biology, and there's a principle of physics which I am not very clear, what do? I go to the staff room or I go to the physics lab, I ask the physics expert there, iska kya matlab hota hai, how do you do this? right? And what is this principle? The person explains it to me. I go loaded with that information and knowledge in my biology class and apply that physics information there. I don't become a physicist. I remain a biologist. Similarly, the special educators are loaded with knowledge or understanding of special education. That's their training. So when they collaborate with the general teachers or the general teachers interact with them, it's a win-win situation. The general teacher understands that she or he doesn't become the special educator. The general teacher remains the general teacher, the special educator remains the teacher, but the child wins. I'm so proud of the school which is including all different children with disabilities.
Absolutely, and people are appreciating this fact. This is what we all, or you all actually have achieved from this entire initiative. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me there.
Ma'am, we have this one more viewer,
Okay.
and he's saying that nice methodology you are discussing, this should be mentioned in the textbooks as well.
Okay, okay. So here is a big job for NCERT and CIT. As NEP 2020 becomes more understood, you have to digest the new processes. And we in the education system, as we do that, then in our textbooks, we already have started. It's not that it's not there, but we need you people, each one of us, what are the best practices that we have managed in our classrooms. Document that, send them to NCERT, send them to CIT. They'll take it forward.
Absolutely. So, ma'am, we have more questions and I would like to ask you these. Another question is from Kamalpreet Kaur, and she's saying, good evening, ma'am. I want to know about the children who are having speech delay. How to make them speak?
Oh, that's a large question. In 1 minute, what will I say? First of all is accepting the child for being a child. Use the early identification screening tools which are being developed by NCERT and others in the country to assess, does this mean an early red flag or is it a developmental stage? Second is, when you're talking about UDL, more the exposure to different ways of expression, the more the chances of the red flag, the early delays being overcome. But the screening assessment needs to be done so that appropriate professional support can be given at the earliest.
All right. Ma'am, another question is by Ramonisha, and she's asking, can a ADHD child write the answers in diagrams or in any short way, because the child is comfortable in any subject but he's unable to write the proper text?
Big question, CBSE and other boards, they are working on so many different parameters and they're trying to find ways of doing this. Large country, large number of students. But there are examples, especially if it's not board exams is the issue now, but in other classes, starting from the primary especially, if the child is able to represent it in different ways rather than only writing, UDL says that, no? Let the child start with that. If the child is drawing and instead of complete sentence, the key pointers, any definition will have 2-3 key words. And if the child knows that, using mnemonics, using rhythm, using role play. Revolution rotation of the planet systems is very difficult for children to understand. Developing that role play is also not easy, but if you develop that role play, your entire class understands that. Using other means of representations, using technology, the videos, there's so many ways of doing it. Text to speech, speech to text. Often it could be just a first generation learner. So you have to be able to pick up these flags, and they need to be supported as early as possible.
Okay. So we have a viewer, and she is sharing her experience.
Okay.
She, I think, is either a teacher or a special educator. She's not mentioned that. Martha Anitha. She's saying, I have taken the students for school campus. The topic was our school, and the children were very involved in it and interacting and seeing different classes and labs. She's saying that this method can also be very helpful.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it must have been Martha?
Martha Anitha.
Martha Anitha. It must have been so time consuming, and a lot of thinking would have gone into that. But you had the passion to do it. And as a teacher, this is what we are made of, the stuff that we are made of. And again, the planning for the IP or the lesson plan cannot be done a day before. It has to be a continuous understanding of a number, at least a session, at least a particular week and the year. So when you are going out for that visit of the school, how many different components or subjects or topics you are touching upon? If we do that analysis of this before we go out, so there's a trip going to happen of the school thing, so you ask the biology teacher anything, any questions that you want, any observations to happen, you ask the geography teacher, you ask a Sanskrit teacher, somebody else, anything you want observations done there, and that whole team works together for that school visit, school within the school excursion. Now that gets fed in to the different subjects when respective teachers go into their classes. What wonderful learning. Martha, you're doing an amazing job. Wonderful.
Yes.
Keep it up.
So, ma'am, there's one more question from a viewer, Rajni Bala, and she's asking, ma'am, is it possible to use different type of technologies for different students at one time by one teacher?
Of course. Of course. Give up being the teacher in charge completely. There is the buddies. There are the let the children learn on their own. There is teamwork which needs to be done, but I will have to learn everything. How often it happens when there are guests in the house, so there's not one cook in the kitchen, there are 3 different people in the kitchen, but somebody has to supervise. You work this side, you work this side, you do something. So that person has to understand all those technology. So we need to develop buddy systems. We need to engage other stakeholders. We need to come out of that mindset that everyone has to note from the blackboard onto the copy. We have to get it out of a system that if somebody is typing it, it is okay. Right? So these are different things. As soon as we develop these entire holistic thing, it is very possible. What is the harm in having a particular mic system only for one child? If everyone's using similar type of keyboards, what is the difference in one person having it differently? One person having a braille book and others having the regular classroom textbook. Right?
Okay. So, ma'am, thank you so much for answering each and every question in as much detail as you could. Thank you so much. and I'm sure all the viewers, they have got their answers perfectly well, and we have also received some answers where they're saying that thank you for taking our question.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
On behalf of the entire team, thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us today. It was wonderful having you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunities. I loved it.
Thank you. Thank you to each and every participant. Well, we have received your question, and we have tried to take up your questions. Rest, we can assure you that I'll try and take this up in tomorrow's session as well. Tomorrow we are going to discuss the last day's topic, and that is going to be adaptive learning through technology. Sharp at 4 o'clock, we'll come here only at NCERT Official. That is our YouTube platform. So before leaving, let me just briefly tell you that how you can register yourself, and that would be with the help of the website. Let me show you that here is the web page. Once you type CIET in any of your browsers, then this would be the home page you will get. And you can see the home bar menus. In the activities column, if you click on it, then the last option is workshop/training. Please click on it. Once you do, scroll it a little further, and in the current activity column, you can see online training going on digital technology for children with special needs. Please click on it. Once you do, another page or tab will open, and here are all the details regarding this online training. The entire schedule has been mentioned from day 1 to day 5 with their respective topics and with their respective experts' names as well. The objectives have been mentioned, who all can participate has been mentioned, and here comes how to participate. So you can see this QR code. Please scan this QR code and be a participant, or simply click on this form, fill up the details. Please mention the correct spellings of your name so that the correct information could be implemented in the certificate as well. Now here comes the space for the quiz link. Here the quiz link will be uploaded tomorrow after the session. That would be on the last day, 13th of October, and you will get approximately 10 days to have a part, to be a participant in this quiz, and the last date is 23rd of October. Now let me show you that this is the QR code for the feedback. If you have any suggestion, any advice, any feedback, please share them with us. And here is the same form for feedback. Fill in the form, write your information, suggestions, whatever you have for us, and share it with them. So here comes the email ID. This is the specific email ID for this entire online training, that is training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. And there is one more column, that is our YouTube channel, NCERT Official. If you click on it, the programs which we have done on day 1, day 2, day 3 have already been uploaded here, and today's program is also going to be uploaded in the same link. So you can operate them all together. For the quiz, you have to watch all these sessions because you need to know all the answers, and they are hidden in all these sessions. So here we are wrapping up this particular program for today, but tomorrow we are coming back again. And for now, our next program is going to be a very special program called Sayog, where we are celebrating Mental Health Week, and the topic of discussion is going to be building mental health resilience. Please note down your questions and share them with us for sure. Before leaving, just want to remind you once again that NCERT textbooks for this academic session 2023-2024 are available in the country throughout. So you can either purchase them directly from the sales counter, or you can place an order with the help of the website, or you can simply download the PDF versions through NCERT Diksha or ePathshala website or their mobile applications. So all the very best for the quiz, and I really hope that you're going to buy these textbooks very, very soon. Have a lovely day ahead, and I'm Tanvi Khurana, and I'll take a leave of you now. Thank you so much once again. Namaskar.